How many people does it take to adjust the table in front of it?
It's heavier than it looks.
Yeah, it's not as light as I thought it would be.
No.
Well, we got it there. Like a second to spare. I don't know if our microphones were hot during that whole exchange, but it was
Hopefully.
exciting. You missed a lot of fun.
It's a real table. You know, I actually thought this was fake until
You
now.
did?
Yeah.
Fake. A fake
Well, what do you
table?
think it's
Like
fake?
it's actually made out of some kind of.
Like a.
Not part of the
Oh,
board?
yeah, I thought it was like stone. No, it's not.
This is a fake plant, just so you know.
Yeah, don't water it.
Yeah.
You need to stop watering it.
Well, it's heavy.
Just so you know.
It looks great, you know, for getting no sunlight.
Filled with coffee beans or
The
something.
only kind that I can handle is
Those
a
are
fake
magic
plant.
beans.
Right? Wait, I am excited though. I got a plant about 3 months ago, and I'm the worst. I have the worst green thumb
Yes.
ever, right? I even kill those succulent plants.
I know, me too.
But
For
this
fun.
one is surviving. So I'm so
Good.
excited. It is thriving and surviving.
Wow.
The key is, I think I've been giving it bottled water instead of sink water.
that sounds expensive.
No, you do have to purify. For a lot of plants, they're really finicky, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of plants, including lilies especially, are really sensitive to the pH levels in water.
Yeah.
You have to get the filtered water from the fridge. Yeah.
So if you're having trouble keeping a plant alive, try bottled water or filtered water, and maybe
true.
that'll help.
Fun fact.
Interesting.
All right, everybody, have a good day.
And that's the after show.
Woo, yeah.
Today, have a great
No,
day.
we have something very serious to talk
Yeah.
about, bad drivers. So this was a topic of conversation on the show this morning. We bring it up for a very important reason, which Ryan will explain in just a minute. In the meantime, we want you to jump into the comment section and share
Yes.
the things you hate to see
pet
on the
peeves.
road. Because there's so many things that we absolutely cannot stand.
Yeah, speeders. What about those that just hang out in the left lane? That's me. Wave at me. Tailgaters.
see
All
you.
drivers have something they can't stand about other people on the road. So we've been asking, what's your pet peeve when it comes to driving? Because Arizona is really
not great.
low. What are we, like 85, Ryan?
We are 84th in
84th.
Phoenix specifically, but we have some other numbers from all across the state too, because Chandler is 26th. It's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Tempe 64th and Glendale 89th, just to name a few. Hey, shout out to Brownsville, Texas. #1 safest city in America for drivers.
We did it.
So interesting.
That's according to Allstate. We'll get into that whole thing in just a few here. But did you guys know that driving in the left lane is illegal if you're not actually passing someone? You would be breaking the law. That's my pet peeve. Because it's the passing lane. You ever hear of a blinker, guys? Hey, eyes up here. How can you watch me while you're looking at your phone? Although I guess this is on your phone, so that's bad on me. Anyway, if you drive, you probably have a few pet peeves, things you hate seeing other drivers do on the road. Maybe it's texting and driving. Maybe it's those people who see someone texting and driving, decide to take a picture and then post about it on Facebook while also driving. Maybe it's the people who drive all the way up, cut into traffic, that long line, or maybe it's the person who lets them cut into traffic, or maybe get off the roads as the people in the parking lot that just can't seem to take up one space. You know, you're only allotted one space per vehicle. That is also a rule, just in case you're wondering. You know what? If you don't understand, not a big deal. I get it. Arizona is one of those states, one of the few states actually, where you do not need to take driver's ed in order to get your driver's license. Here in Arizona, our rule is that you can either take driver's ed before taking a test or log 30 hours of supervised driving with a parent or legal guardian. You know, that person who also doesn't know the rules of the road and they're trying to pass on their terrible habits to their children. That's how that works. And just a thought, maybe that's why we are where we are. 84th in overall ranking for Phoenix, as we mentioned earlier, that coming from Allstate. And what they did was they took the number of claims that they had. No, that's just Allstate's insurance claims. But they also apparently are able to figure out what the hard braking situations that you have and how many hard braking times you have per 1,000 miles that you drive. We had an average of 29 or 30 hard braking incidents per 1,000 miles. That's kind of a lot.
That does seem like a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, I'm talking about that time that you slam on the brakes. You'd be doing that 29 times for every 100 or every 1,000 miles you drive.
Ryan, just looking at the comment section right now, a lot of people complaining about people who don't notice that a lane is ending. I think that leads to a lot of the hard braking situations.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's another situation where, like, people are already on the freeway, I guess, or they're trying to, like, sneak up, like, to get to the end of it and then cut in. So that's a whole bunch of pet peeves all wrapped into one here. These are my pet peeves. So I'll let you guys talk about this for a minute. I'll come join you back here on the couch. But this is just
Yeah.
This is killer.
So you know that spot on the I-10 where there's the Washington Jefferson exit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes like the two right lanes go away like in the span of less than a half a mile. And anybody that drives that route consistently knows that those lanes disappear. And so they get over as soon as they can because there's
Right.
never a ton of traffic there. But like I can't stand when I am in the correct lane and I watch Dummy A and Dummy B taking their sweet time getting over. I get right up behind them. I tailgate them. I am right in their grills every time because I want to be like, come on, you've got an Arizona license plate. You know that this exit is like this. Why are you slowing up the entire flow of
You're
traffic?
certain that if you were to have a face-to-face argument, they'd be like, I didn't know the lane
Well,
was
if I
that
was
big."
still in the right lane. There's signs
knew.
the entire way.
You
This
knew.
lane ends.
You absolutely knew.
everyone
Be
else.
careful doing that.
But
though.
then when you
Well, I've gotten
tailgate,
into a
like,
couple of
okay,
close
so when you're,
encounters.
I know, when you're coming in, don't you feel like that should be universally like it's every other? I hate the people that like one guy's gone and the other one rides by behind him and doesn't let you in. I'm like, wow, like this is an
that from
every
outside?
other
Yeah.
situation. If everybody just follows every other, we'll be fine.
The zipper merging system.
You're not
Law
going
and
to
order.
get that much far ahead of me.
Yeah, my biggest
That's
pet
it.
peeve, and especially with obviously doing traffic, is when there's an accident and people paying attention to what's going on, the rubberneckers. Like even when I'm driving on the freeway, it's like, why do we have such a backup, right? And then you see the accident and it's off to the side, no big deal, like nothing major, but that's what
Everybody's
everybody's
gotta
paying
check
attention
it
to.
out.
And then that's why we have such a backup. I'm like, come on, just keep moving.
What about when there's no accident, but we see it here on like the 202 curve and places on the I-10 where it curves, and like people think they need to go 30 miles an hour slower just because
Yeah.
they're turning. You can maintain your speed.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. And we've seen how many traffic backups do we see where it just has to do with that? Like everything's going fine when you're going straight, and as
People
soon as
get
you turn
scared.
left or turn
Yeah.
right, you go down to like 45 miles an hour.
The turn signal thing really irks me.
Oh,
if,
that's
you're,
bad.
if you're not using your turn signals, that throws a wrench in the whole machine. Like the reason we have signals is so that you can be predictive in your driving. Like that's so key to not driving like an idiot. And so when you see people weaving in, you ever do this? You ever play this game? So maybe I'm a bit of an instigator. Reading about
Yeah,
this
I
pet
can't
peeves
imagine.
make me
Really?
think that I'm making the problem worse because I notice a problem and then I reply with another problem basically. So like, okay, let's imagine this scenario here. Yeah, let me see that remote real fast. Hey, Steadicam Dave, come on, we're gonna do a little visual display.
Okay.
Oh,
here.
my goodness.
Okay, so here's the situation. These are two cars in this
nice.
instance, right? Okay, so this guy, I'm in the left lane here, and this cat's coming up behind me,
Yep.
right? So he gets right behind my rear end in the left, and I'm like, well, this guy wants to get over. Okay, so I get over. Then he gets here, but there's another car that's going just a little slower right here. So he notices that Paul gets behind him. So what does this guy do? He gets behind me again,
To
and then
try to
rides
cut
up
the
right
other
here,
person.
and then he's just tailgating me like I'm here. So you know what I like to do to these people?
Oh, boy.
I like to, instead of giving them an opportunity, let's say I'm positioned here, and I know this guy's about to do this zigzag thing, and
Yeah.
he never uses his turn signals. I accelerate to right next to him, so there's no way he can go anywhere.
my gosh.
And I just keep it there, so
Oh
he's
my gosh.
trapped behind this cell phone. I love making more of a problem for that guy, because especially if you're zigzagging in a 35-mile-an-hour zone and you're
Yeah.
not using your signals,
Pausing
you
and
deserve
pulling
to be
over.
stuck
Here come the
somewhere.
cops.
I don't
Oh my
like to
gosh.
aggravate people
Right.
because you never know.
They're
A lot
crazy.
of road rage.
people are
Yes,
nuts.
a lot of road rage.
I just am like, don't make eye contact. It's
If that's
not
the way it
worth
ends, that's the way it ends.
I do get. I mean,
The story of Paul in a hospital room
Yeah.
doing an interview, like, well, you know, I knew this was going to happen.
I just get impatient.
People
I
get upset.
but because the people you can tell when you're behind them because they start drifting. And you're like, okay, oh, you have to get off your phone in order for
Yeah.
you to drive. And you get up next to them. And sure enough, if I look over and they're not even paying any attention,
Yeah.
full on texting. That's what drives me crazy.
You're driving a
because they're slow and
3-ton
they're-
Yeah.
hunk of metal.
That happened to me this morning when I was driving into work. A big old
boy.
truck, like the guy was in my lane a little bit, and I'm like, why is he in my lane? So I'm like scooting over, and
let
I
me
look
guess.
over, and yes, he was on his phone, like while he's
course.
like literally looking down, like not even on. And granted, it's early in the morning, and there's not a lot of traffic, but still, like he wasn't even paying attention to
Yeah.
the road at all, like just on.
You know
his
what
phone.
helps me handle road rage is just to imagine that it's my grandma driving and be like, don't be
Yeah.
mad at your grandma. And it does make me feel better when it's not a young person. When you see someone driving poorly and you just think that it's some whippersnapper, some young kid that's reckless, and then you get up there and it's like a 90-year-old woman
Right,
that's like
I
this on the
know.
wheel. I feel bad immediately.
Yeah, but
I'm
then
like,
at that
oh,
point, when do they need to
Dolores.
stop driving?
You know?
Well, in order to bring in royal news, did you guys know
Queen!
the Queen?
I know! No,
herself.
they told her she's not supposed to. Didn't they come out a couple years ago? They told the
Yes.
Queen no more
Yeah, no
driving.
more.
So
Yeah.
she was driving this week,
Breaking the
ahead
law.
of the big meeting. But when your name and your face is on literally every driver's plate, I think you're just like, whatever. Who's
I can
gonna
do whatever
tell
I
me not
want.
to
Right.
choose and arrest the Queen?
Right.
So I just love that though. But yeah, she's what is she 89?
I think she's older than that. Someone want to look up how old the Queen
I
is?
know. I'm
can
shocked
look it
I
up.
don't know this royal fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's up there though.
You guys have a couple more comments from the viewers while I look up how old the Queen is?
Richard says no turn signals, driving under the speed limit, driving in the HOV lanes when during the hours that you're not supposed to, and then only speeding up to cut in front of me, although no one is behind me, and you could have just gotten behind me to turn.
Yeah.
So can you ride in the HOV outside of HOV hours?
Yes.
Yes.
Just
yes.
normal, right?
Yeah, that
Yes.
becomes the
It just
passing
becomes
lane
the
then.
passing lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
just
can't
hang
just
out and
roll
I
in
just
it.
drive exclusively in HOV
You
lanes.
are a part of the problem.
Really? But why am I part of the problem? I'm
But
going
if you're going
fast.
at
Because
if
it's-
you're going
are
at
you-
a
Going super
decent
fast.
speed,
Are
and
you
you're
supposed
keeping
to
up
be
with
passing?
traffic,
That's a
It's the
passing lane.
passing
No, when
lane.
I
You could
see
be doing
somebody-
150 miles an hour, and if you're not passing someone,
Right.
you're not supposed to be
No, I
in the
just hang
passing
out
lane.
there. I just hang out there. But
Can't.
if someone's coming up behind me and they're obviously going faster than me, I get over.
Okay, well that's
And
a
then
start,
I go back.
but it's still
That's
breaking
my
the law.
favorite lane. It's so nice. Nobody knows they're supposed to be in there. This is like a new thing for me because we don't have that. In Houston, you can never do that. So I love that when I discovered that here. I'm like, oh, you can be in here any time of day or night.
No, not anytime. Just make
Well,
sure.
not during the little hours,
Then
but
you'll
I'm
get a
never
ticket.
driving during those rush hours. I never drive
That's
during
true.
rush
You don't have
hours.
to,
So,
right? And then I'm sure you have your kids and stuff, so that counts if you're in the car.
sometimes
with you.
it's just me. But I'm like, well, I'm going outside of the city, and it's 10 a.m. So I'm good.
Yeah, you're good at 10 a.m.
That's a singleton.
Yeah.
If
Another
they pull
one of
me
the
over, I'll
things.
just say I'm pregnant.
Oh, wow.
A fetus
Yeah, you
counts.
can't give a pregnant woman a ticket, right?
Don't make me laugh.
That was like I had chicken parmesan last night.
Someone's just playing with the soundboard back there. Just
Yeah,
smashing
that's fun.
buttons.
I am coughing, so I'm going to have to turn this off real quick.
The thing that confused me too, the suicide lane, the way that's set up.
That
Now I
is just-
understand how it works.
Oh my gosh, I did not know what that was when I moved here.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm driving and there's a guy facing me and
Right.
he's like, oh, and I'm
Oh.
like, where am I supposed to go?
Wait, side note, Richard
total
said the Queen is 93 years old.
93. Oh yeah, the producer said that too. I forgot because we were thinking about the drivers. 93.
I
That's
don't.
probably
I
too
think
old
I
to be
still
driving.
don't fully understand. The
It's just
suicide
certain
lane
times a
thing
day.
is.
Yeah.
You have to just know what time of
But
day
sometimes
it
you
is.
can't make a left.
Right. Well,
Right.
you
Like, you're not
can.
supposed to.
But not from that lane.
When
Right.
I'm going this, yeah.
You just don't have a turn lane anymore.
Right. So you can still
But-
turn, but you're
But
going to
that's
upset
part
the
of the
drivers behind you
problem.
'cause they don't
with-
understand it either.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with the suicide lane, though,
Yeah.
is that the vast majority of people, I feel like, driving out there have no idea
So
what
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we're talking like 7th Street. I believe Central has
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
No, Central doesn't have a suicide lane, but
It's on
the
7th.
rail.
7th.
It's on,
7th Ave.
But anyway, it's basically the left turn lane. In certain times of day,
You
when
can't
people
use
are
it,
coming
right?
into downtown
Or
or
you
out
use
of
it as the
downtown,
lane.
you can use it as a full-on lane. And the people that know that they can use it are usually real asses about it.
Yeah,
like
they
they'll
are.
fly
Yeah.
in it, and
they
it's
yell
35
at me all
through there.
the time.
Yeah.
Like, move out of the way!
Yeah, it's
They're
a little much.
honking.
I learned
Little
so
much.
much in Ryan's report today. I must say, I learned about the suicide lane. I learned about HOV as a passing lane. What else did I learn? I learned that you don't have to take driver's ed here. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was informative. That's a first.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
called.
then what is it? But
Good.
here also, they never take away your driver's license. Like
It
you
never
can have it
expires.
forever.
They
Yeah,
can take it
expires.
away. Yes.
Yeah, it never expires. I'm feeling like I'm
does-
really close. I'm this close to that.
I wouldn't test that. It does expire at some point. I think mine was like 66 years or
Yeah,
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
some crazy number.
But that's
Okay.
going to be changing. That's a whole other subject. But
Oh.
with the new licenses, the new travel
For the
licenses,
traveling license,
they are
yeah.
they're not going to be valid for like 60, 70 years anymore. They're going to
Make a
make
little
you
more
have
money.
to renew it every few years. I forget what it is, but it's something far more civilized, much more in line with what other states are doing.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what a lot of other people complain about is downtown Phoenix because there's a lot of one-ways and then they get so
there's so much
confused.
construction.
Yeah.
Stuff is shut down all the time
Yeah.
in downtown Phoenix.
But the one-ways, people literally, like you see people all the time going
the wrong-
the wrong
wrong ways
direction
and
and they're like,
wrong
I
ways,
didn't
yeah.
know. I didn't hear
That's the noise they make.
Here's the,
Exactly.
this brings up a good point, though, that driving is a privilege. All right, like driving is not just something that like you have
Yeah.
the right to do without
Yeah.
learning the rules of the road, because you put people in serious harm
Yeah.
by not knowing what the hell you're doing.
Right.
And so it's a huge problem. I think everybody should have to. We do have to take the test as part of the driver's test. But what is it, like 10 questions? They pick like 10 of the possible like 80
Yeah.
questions that they have. So you could pass it theoretically without knowing a lot of the major points.
Yes.
And that's why I think driver's ed is super important. I mean, there are things that I learned in driver's ed from like the textbook portion of it that I've never really had to encounter, but I know, and if that time ever comes, I'll know it.
Well,
They should have a refresher course.
yeah,
I
they
feel.
should. They should
Yeah.
make you take it every
it.
time you get a ticket. Is what
Yeah,
they should do.
I really need some help.
There was a song in my driver's ed class, "Stay out of the no zones," and like
Oh, yeah,
I remember the no zones now, and that actually helps me not be a terrible driver on the freeway.
That's
are
the
the
tractor
no-zones?
trailer
with
thing.
yeah,
right?
with the big trucks, you need to know where they can't see you because you're
Okay.
putting yourself in
Yes.
harm's way if you hang out in the no zones. And I'll yell at drivers sometimes, like, "Get out of my no zone," and they probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
The big thing I remember with that is like if you can't see the mirror, like
Yeah.
if
Yes,
you can't
they
see
can't
their
see
side
you.
mirror, they
Yeah.
can't see you.
And they're looking at their phone, so they can't see you anyway.
Well,
Wait, here's a good one. Terry said when folks wait to turn right on red because they want to get to the far left lane. She's like,
yeah.
"Grr."
Yeah, no good. Real quick, this is only tangentially related, but I've been meaning to bring up this theory to an audience, and I'd kind of like to get your feedback on this.
Yeah.
So one of my pet peeves about drivers is that they don't pay any attention to pedestrians. That's another downtown Phoenix
Oh, yeah,
incident
big
where
problem here.
they actually just made that a four-way stop. What is it, Fillmore and Second? It didn't used to be
Oh, that was
way.
so necessary.
It
though.
was because
Yeah.
there's so much pedestrian traffic with the ASU kids coming to and fro there. But now that it's a four-way stop, I stopped and waited and
Yeah.
like didn't know it was a four-way stop recently until I got the horn behind me and then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they changed this. It's a four-way. Anyway,
Yeah.
so when you're a pedestrian walking, you generally have the right of way in downtown Phoenix. In other places, it's spotty. You have to hit the signal, whatever. If you're about to get hit by a car, because I will challenge drivers sometimes. When I know I have the right of way as a pedestrian, I'm going to walk. And if you don't stop, well, guess what, buddy? You're going to hit a 220-pound man with your car. In that instance, is it best to jump? Because that's the way I've always thought about it. Like, I don't want my
Vertically?
legs trapped under a car. I want to land with the
On the
bulk of
hood.
my body weight on the hood or the windshield.
Yeah.
In that instance, like downtown 25, 35 miles an hour, it's probably not going to kill me unless I hit my head the wrong way. But if I jump and put the center of mass on his hood, is that safer than getting my knees taken
Wait,
out?
you
I
thought
think it
about
is.
all of this?
Oh, yeah, because I've come close.
Yeah.
Because I will challenge the
It's got to
drivers
be better.
hit
I
me.
mean, it depends on your vertical.
Yeah,
but
it's not great.
It's
Yeah.
probably better to
Can't
jump.
dunk, not even close.
So here's the thing: if you don't jump, I imagine it would just destroy your
Legs, right? Yeah, you don't want
You-
to destroy. Right, like that noise. This kid's startling us every time. We're not used to hearing music drops.
Give the producer a raise this morning.
Oh, thank you.
And then your head would probably still hit on the, on the
Yeah.
hood.
I think in that split second, I got to think about two things.
Yeah.
Getting in the air and protecting my head. Like,
Yeah.
so maybe do this move and then land on the.
So, like a tuck and
Tuck and
roll. I
roll.
would do like
Tuck and roll.
Yeah, tuck and roll on the.
I think I would just be shell-shocked, stunned, frozen. I don't think I'd even have the wherewithal.
That's why you got to
jump.
think about these things. I'm
Right.
ready to jump
Yeah,
at a
you gotta be
moment's
ready to
notice.
go.
Whenever I go through a crosswalk, I'm ready to get up.
Are you?
So what do you think? Yeah?
I just
No?
assume I'm going to
I think jump.
smash.
I
Jump? You think jump? Team
Yeah,
jump?
I'm with you on jump.
Let's see what the people
Why
say.
don't you jump and let us
So
know
people,
how it goes?
for those that tuning in again, what is a suicide lane? They want to know.
Yes.
Okay.
It's called that for a reason because it's really dangerous to drive.
It is dangerous.
And
You
then
don't know the
actually,
time frame.
ADOT will yell at you for calling it a suicide
It's the
lane.
lane in
I
the
forget
yellow, the
exactly
double
what they
yellow.
call
I
it.
should,
But essentially,
the
so
middle lane.
say on 7th Street, for instance, which runs north and
South.
south
Two lanes
from
going each
downtown.
direction.
Okay,
Your normal turning lane.
there is a turn lane in the
turn
middle
lane.
of the street. All right, and that lane most of the time is used if you're trying to turn left off of whichever side you're
Right.
going. But during rush hour and certain times of the day, when most people are heading into town
Or out of town.
or out of town,
They open it up.
then they would make that turn lane just a straight cruising lane
An
in
extra
the direction
lane going in the popular direction.
of the
Yeah.
popular way. Yes.
Where heavy traffic is
So,
going.
but if you don't know that, then you go into that lane to turn left, and all of a sudden there's someone just coming at you, and
That's
really the
scary.
person coming at you is following the law,
Right.
and you are not.
And
They
it does
let
flip
you
every
know
day
it.
too. So
Yes.
it's not like Mondays it goes north and Tuesdays it goes south. In the morning it comes into town. In the evening it exits town.
It's like an
Right.
inbound, outbound
So
situation.
you have to pay attention to the signage above you because it says it on the
Or
side.
stay out of it. Stay out of it. You know
I would
how it
just
works.
like
Stay out of that
But
lane.
Just
there's
stay
like
out of
3
it.
signs.
I know they do get a little
Very
confusing.
I mean, the whole idea behind it is to increase the flow of traffic in a specific direction.
Rush hour.
The direction that the majority of cars would be traveling
Yeah.
at that particular time. But here's the thing: if there's one accident, all of a sudden it just ruined the flow of traffic
Yeah.
worse than it would if you didn't have it.
Very confusing.
And it's just dangerous. But
Very dangerous.
that's the thing is like you have to know what that rule is, and the fact that we're getting these comments is, no offense to everybody, but you got to know the rules
didn't
of the
know.
road.
Yeah.
I know.
If you don't know the rules of the road, you shouldn't be driving. I'm like, it's just the way it is.
I hear you. I'm just not a good left turner. So I try. You'll always see me turn right. I'll take.
You wouldn't be good at NASCAR.
I do. I'm like, I'd go right, and my husband's like, seriously? I'm like, look, I've been hit a couple times just trying to make a left that didn't quite work out. So
You just got to be real aware of your surroundings. You know,
I'm beginning to think I should pick you up on the way to work.
Yeah, right.
Are you like?
Kidding.
Do you need a ride?
It's probably the safest time because there's not a lot of people on the roads at the time we come into work. So that's probably the safest.
What scares me though that time, because when we come in between like 1 and
the
3
people
o'clock
on the
a.m.
road or-
And so that, but
You have
also I am so every single time you mentioned being prepared. Every single time I'm on the freeway at 1 a.m. I am looking for wrong way drivers.
I assume
Like
that
I am assuming that I'm going to see one every single time. Now, luckily, I've been on the shift for 3 months. I have not
my
seen
gosh, you
one
better knock on
personally.
everything.
But at some point, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just based on the numbers here in town.
Now, where I'm from, and I know a lot of you watching are watching from all over the world right now, so you're not just city dwellers, but where I'm from, and you're driving at that hour, your eyes peel for animals.
Yeah.
In Michigan, it's deer jumping across the road at that time of night and stuff. I mean, we hit an armadillo once outside of
Now they jump.
Tulsa. Yeah. Oh, those things are fun to hit because it's a like that's a big. They're not fun to hit. I don't want to hit. It is
sarcasm.
jarring. Yeah, that was a joke. Let me
definitely
make
know
that
when you
clear.
hit one.
Real quick, before we wrap up the show here, Lucinda has been sharing thoughts all morning long. She's watching from Perth, Australia. So the rules are a little different over there. She says it's so weird that we have to keep to the left and overtake on the right. So passing people's entirely backwards.
Yeah.
She also said that they have to renew their license. Let me find this thing. It's way more frequent than we do. Where was it? Every year in Australia, they have to renew their license.
That would be a pain
That would
to do
kill me.
every year.
It's my least favorite place on the planet.
I'd say like every 5 years you have to take a refresher course.
Wow.
Or when you want to update your photo.
That's crazy. And it's way harder to get a license as a kid, too. It takes 2 years to get a full license, with the training and logbooks and classes and stuff like that.
Nothing beats experience. I mean, you can take the classes and all you want, and I think that's important, but nothing is better than actual driving time. And driving time with someone who knows what they're talking about, which is why I'm not a huge fan of, like, your parents being the one.
Sure.
that
Oh,
gets
yeah,
to
because
do
you
it.
get stressed out when you're with parents. So my parents hired a person. I went to, like, a driving school, and the guy picked me up. First of all, my parents are the strictest people in the whole
Congrats
wide
on the
world.
guy picking you up, by the way.
And then this man that I don't know, a stranger, picks me up and takes me to Anthem.
safe.
And I eat lunch with him, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? But I learned how to drive.
Anyway, what we're doing is wrapping
That guy is winning. That is a hell of a pickup line. I'm your new driver's ed instructor.
We had a really good thing at the end of the show and we didn't have time for it, so we're going to do that thing tomorrow. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
7:30. What a tease.
Yeah, bye.
Happy Taco Tuesday.
Drive safe.
That's right.
Don't drive.